Hey, welcome back again. Todd here from Playground World, Ohio's #1 dealer for Springfree trampolines. Today, I'll be doing the S113 11x11. And I've never had an opportunity to show, I've mentioned before in other videos, how I can flip the large squares or the jumbo squares. I build them in two pieces. So I've never had a really opportunity to video that. So I'm gonna do that for you today. First, let's flip the camera around. So as always, I'd like to lay the entire frame out with the legs. Unboxing takes probably about 10 minutes to get it all here. Got basically all my trash back in those boxes. So again, I like to use the top box of the leg and mat box to put all my hardware in. That way I don't lose anything and I'm only 2 or 3 steps away. Well, again, one of the reasons I like to build a frame upside down, especially when I'm doing it one person at a time, I just think it's easier when I put the legs into the frame and I don't have to carry the weight of the frame when I'm putting the leg bolts in. It just has become faster for me, especially if I'm doing 4 or 5 of these in one day. A couple other points, just number one on the legs, the yellow dot. The yellow dot always faces to the outside when the frame is assembled, because there is a little bit of an offset in that, so it really makes sense. So what we do first is I'm gonna put all the frame bolts in. Those are large bolts. Nut always goes to the inside, and I'm gonna assemble it just like this. I do 2 straights, 2 curves, 2 sections, then I flip it, and then I tie it back together and put the last 2 legs on. All right, let me set the camera up and we'll start. I didn't think you needed to watch me put those first 6 frame bolts in, but this is how we do the legs. Just think it's easier manipulating the legs and lining the bolts up. Versus carrying the weight of the frame all the time. Oopsie. Nut to the inside. That way I can just use a little body weight. So if you need to manipulate the leg, I think it's just easier me pushing down versus me lifting the frame up all the time. That's why I think it's just easier. I can just push down a little bit, line the holes up. Again, we're just finger tightening everything right now. Yellow dot to the outside. All right, quick pause for editing, makes it easier. Okay, now we're gonna flip the frame. Pretty easy. All right, so that's the frame. So they're all hand tightened. So next thing we do, we're gonna tighten everything down. I like to use a little impact hammer. The key is here is this short burst. Do not over tighten. All the nuts should be the inside. And you have your handy dandy Allen key that Springfree gave you, all right? Really matter which one you do first. And again, 3/4 and 1/2 inch, or I believe 19 millimeters and 13 millimeters. I just use whatever's on the wrench. Short first. Always take this time to check your center posts, make sure they're oriented properly. Change. All right with that. And keep in mind, those are nylon threads. You really don't have to crank on those. Get a little toasty out here. It's already about 88 degrees, about 90% humidity. All right, let me flip the camera around, explain a few things. So again, here's your frame. So blue dot, green dot. So on these, you're usually gonna see the blue dot, which is important when you get ready to put the mat on. It's always at the very left end of every single piece. green dots are important to when you're orienting your net. They're always at the right end, last rod holder of every straight piece. So when you put the net on here, you want to, the green dot you choose is going to be where the opening side of the trampoline is, and this is where we're going to be on here. Putting the net on, look for this green tab that faces to the outside. We're actually putting the net on upside down, and then when we're done, it'll flip back up, and that's why it interlocks with all the rods. It's really cool. So this little hole, the first rod slot, so the rod next to the green dot on the frame goes through here, and that way your mat is oriented to the frame. All right, and then we're just going to walk it around. I'll show you that. Here we go. Green tab outside. And just your sanity check as always. Green tab, rod, green dot. I like to walk the frame around left to right, or the mat around left to right, kind of snugs it up against the rods. Always being careful not to snag your net on anything. So a couple of things you're going to see me do. As I walk this way backwards, I'm always feeling for the next hole, right? It's for speed, and also you do not want to miss a spot, or you're going to wind up with some issues on the back side. You're going to have to take everything apart, start all over again. Here we go. As you see, I've kind of spaced the rods out around the frame. So again, just for speed, I'm not constantly going back to the box to grab more rods. They're going to be right at my feet right when I run out. I usually do about a quarter of the rods or half a box at one time. For me, also helps me orient all the rods in the same direction. Always peeking to see if you see a center post. Make sure it's always in the right position. right, that is the rods. All right, next is the mat. It's probably why you're watching this video. All right, installing the mat. So a couple things. The mat, gonna have 8 of these blue tabs, right? It is a square, a squircle. So we're gonna toss the mat into the inside. First, this orient as a circle, but all those first 8 rods that are next to the blue dot in the frame go into the mat rod here, mat rod clamp next to the blue tab. The key is do all the blue tabs first. That'll equalize the tension as you go around. If you just start at one spot and just go bang, 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 there is so much tension on those rods. By the time you get about halfway across, it is sucked so far this way that the mat's gonna be 2.5 feet away from the rod, and it's nearly impossible to do it. So blue rods first. Again, how I attack it, usually do all the blue dots first, come back and kind of do a do 2, skip 2, or do 2, skip 3, or do 2, skip 2, do 3 kind of a thing, but basically alternating. It'll maintain an equal amount of pressure as you go around, and then the third loop all the way around is finishing off. All right, elbow on your side, palm up. Higher up on the rod is better. I'll try to get a better shot of that here in a second. Take your time, keep your face absolutely away from there. I've seen people where they're down here in the rods and their face is right next to it. There is so much tension on that rod. If it kicks out, and also when you put the rod in, always make sure you feel it click into that clamp before you release pressure, all right? I like to roll the mat as I'm going along, roll it up. I think it opens up the socket as I go in, right? And also finally, always checking these tabs. You might find one where that slot is inside there. That's a bad thing, because if you put the rod in, as soon as you let go, that's gonna slide in here and the rod's gonna come all the way up here. And sometimes you have to wind up taking out, you know, the last 10 rods to fix that problem. So that's another reason why you see me rolling up. I'm actually visually or feeling for that. All right, quick pause and we'll get started. You missed me, here we go. Blue tab, blue tab. All right, so that's the blue dots. I'm gonna move the camera so you get a better shot of me putting some rods in. This helps, I'm out of the frame, but hopefully this helps. 1, 2, 3. So a lot of times I'm rolling it up, and again, I'm looking, rolling up, and I'm also counting the, like 1, 2, 1, 2, sanity check. Fix that. Also, if you ever see me doing this, it's because maybe when I put the rod in, it didn't go all the way in, so it's a little higher, so I just give it a little pop, and that drops the rod back down in. Let's flip it around and give you a front view. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Again, higher up on the rod, fix that. Up here, not down here. I've seen people like doing this, it's crazy. All right. So like roll it. All right, go put the camera back in the original position. And carrying on. If you have a partner, it's way easier if you're working opposite of each other. You see when I'm pushing, the tramp's kind of sliding a little bit. So if we're working opposite of each other, when they're pushing, I'm pushing, and it just makes life a little easier. All right, so when I'm not doing trampolines, I love riding my bicycle, and I actually found like cycling gloves, so fingerless gloves that have maybe that sorbethane rubber. If you're doing a lot of these or trying to make it a little easier on your wrists, those work great because it still frees your fingers up. It helps with some of that rod compression. All right, so next thing is we're going to bring the net up over. Be very careful. Don't yank, don't snag, because last thing you want to do is tear your net before you get a chance to play on it. Poles. Always just be up for that little clunk, you know you're good. All right, quick pause while we put the hoop on. Normally it takes me about 7 minutes to unbox and install the hoop. I will show you what the finished product looks like before I raise the net. All right, hoop's on. Give you a quick view here. So again, this first one, if you're in that's in that gap, like that. The nut side's always to the inside, right? So you really can't mess it up. All right, we're ready to raise the net. Let me reposition the camera. All right, no rhyme or reason. To stand to the side, I'm right-handed. I'll kind of demonstrate how I put the poles up. Slide this down, lock the pole straight. Stand to your side because there is tension. I use my right hand. I use a lever. Drop it in the hole. Give a little push down. Sometimes you feel a little click. That's the pole locking into that tongue of the white clamp. Looks pretty good, but I'll walk around and hold the net up and make sure that's up. relax the zipper a little bit. All right, 1 second, I'll show you where the serial numbers are. All right, so real important, so you want to register your warranty. So here's the net. Inside here, mat, and usually on a curved piece. Thought I saw it earlier. And there's your frame serial number. So net, mat, frame, need that to register your warranty. We're gonna put the ladder on, grab the customer. Couple of things. Bare feet socks better than rubber soled shoes. I like to keep the horizontal zipper like halfway. There should always be a rule is pulling this one down. Why is that? When you do this, little kids have a tendency to really force their way in. They put a lot of pressure on this zipper. And like any other zipper, try not to take it all the way to the end. All right. That's pretty much it. I'll put the ladder on, grab the customer. The ball's all blown up. They do give you a pump. Probably the least quality part about the trampoline is the pump. 10-year warranty entire trampoline. So Todd, it is warm here at Playground World, Springfree. That's an S113 11x11 with hoop and ladder. Have a great day. Todd at PG World down. You want to send me a text or an email, excuse me, or just message me or make a comment and I'll try to reply. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.